Hello, everyone. Yeah, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we'll just jump in right away. Thank you so much. Sorry for the technical issue. Not sure why we got disconnected, but we are talking about spoilers for Critical Role Campaign 4, Episode 8. So everyone's been warned. You've been warned. So things happened. Things occurred. I'm just setting up a couple of things and letting people know that there's a new URL, so I appreciate your patience really quick. Perfect. Yeah, that was a wild episode. That was really fun. Definitely combat heavy. Some bad choices were made, for sure. And in a few minutes, we're going to jump right to it, and then I'll make an edit later on kind of to truncate this so people at home can, start from the very beginning. I think I'm just going to avoid streaming on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. I don't trust it. There we go. I like the deaths. That felt like Jeremy or Chris Perkins worked on that for the death saves rules. So we're gonna share this around. Hate technical difficulties, but who does like them? No one. Let's see. Blue sky. Ooh, we got 29 viewers already. It's perfect. And can't do much about Instagram, but that's not a clickable link anyways. So I think we'll just let it sit there. As always, we appreciate super chats and donations. I also have a Streamlabs link now, so not everyone's got their there's a better way to do it now, where it goes right to PayPal instead. That's pinned to the top. I really love this episode. It was really engaging, really interesting. Got a lot of lore dumps actually, and getting a weirder view of Ahriman in general. And what's remarkable to me, and I'm just gonna go in, flash something that I can see. I'm gonna hit be right back and then go back to start playing so we can start fresh. So don't be dismayed when I go to be right back, because I just need a edit point so we can jump in as people filter on in. Got some Mercer check-in. That was interesting. I'm always surprised how well Matt Mercer's character gets along with Aabria Iyengar's character. Got 45 people. People are trickling in. It was it was really fun, and then kind of nice cool down for the episode. I felt like afterwards as time went by. So I'm gonna throw up. Be right back. I'm only doing that so people filter in, and I can make a nice clean edit, depending when YouTube lets me do that. So I'm still here. I'm still talking. Hello, everyone. We are going over Campaign 4 of Critical Role, Episode 8. It was a banger of an episode. We had a lot of plot lines come to finally fruition in this episode. So we're going to dive in. There are going to be spoilers, so if you have not seen Episode 8, you have been warned. We're just going to dive in. And we already have a super chat right there. We've got one for the goal. I love the post-show streams. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, we have a Streamlabs goal. We also have a PayPal tip jar that if you don't have your monies connected to YouTube in any way, it's a little bit easier to use. I feel like a lot of people have PayPal. I'm so sorry that you live in the frozen north and that you've lost power, Branded Drake. So let's just go over everything really quick, real fast. So here are some of my notes. This is pretty basic. Yeah, so first off, we started off with Sam deceiving Casimir into believing that the Candescent Creed for some reason wanted Thjazi dead, even though Casimir had actually heard the opposite, that in fact they did not want him dead. He managed to deceive him, but with some skeptical nature, and it seems like Sam's a charisma caster. He's a clockwork soul sorcerer, and boy, he does he does a lot of deception and a lot of persuasion. He's not the best face guy in this campaign. He doesn't have expertise of any kind. He's not bard. So sorcerers do have a high charisma, and so those persuasion deception checks tend to be favorable. But it's pretty hit and miss so far during this campaign. He makes him believe that Dr. Finger, aka Tyranny, is a courtesan, because what he keeps on talking about having to do with Whitney Moore's character Tyranny keeps on sounding, and also the kind of weird accent and kind of vibe that Tyranny's character Dr. Finger is putting off feels less like a doctor, more perhaps like a courtesan, even though Tyranny as a character is in fact like a virgin. Travis rolls a 1 and a 2, but nat 20 on initiative. Travis, as a cat, apparently the thing that can kill Travis's character, Teor Pridesire, is trees. The biggest threat to Travis Willingham is trees. That's what we figured out in this campaign. Doors, trees, maybe just wooden objects in general. Maybe Travis is a vampire. I don't know, but that was rough rolling for Travis's character. Stealth checks, however, really successful, and that was like a really evocative kind of experience of seeing him like drop off a tree, fall down, and just be able to run through the rain in a very stealthy way and recover that moment. I thought was really cool and super engaging, and I was imagining it as I was watching it happen. Thank you so much to Buck Potter 8397 for joining the channel, Rolling with Advantage. I really appreciate that. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So we went from that. We got a failed persuasion check on Casimir to get him alone from Sam Riegel. He became extremely suspicious of Wikander. And Sam actually cast Thaumaturgy asking for help. However, suggestion does get cast on Casimir. The suggestion works on Casimir, but Sam's deception does not work. So Sam is put outside the door of Casimir's room, such as that is, this decaying castle, and is put down on his knees outside with a sword specifically to put to his throat. And if anything happens to Casimir alone with Tyranny, that they would basically cut Wikander's throat, which makes a lot of sense. So under all those circumstances, like, yeah, it's a suggestion spell, well cast, well done, but the constant failure of deception and persuasion checks made the character just increasingly suspicious over time. So Sam then the fact that he called out for help wasn't a great thing. one of the crow keepers, like, he manages to cast friends on one of the guards, as I recall, and kind of persuade them to be a little bit light with the blade against his neck. However, one of the crow keepers does not care and actually starts pushing Wikander's head with his foot into the mud, virtually, almost drowning him, which was wild. Moving from there, they call Tyranny. Tyranny admits that her real name, Tyranny's character admits that their real name is actually Jezebel, which is pretty funny. And then asks if they can poison spray stealthily, poison spray, basically, I think, into the butt of Casimir. This episode goes a wild couple of directions, I gotta tell you. It's so bizarre to see. Thank you so much, Buck Potter. I really appreciate that. Thank you for watching the stream. Sorry, I just saw that pop on. So the pre-Wildio ask, and I love how Brennan describes shooting poison spray into someone's butt. Is that, like, you can get away with, like, hey, this might pinch a little bit, but you can't get away with, like, shooting a gun up someone's butt and them not knowing that they've been shot, because of the level of damage that you would have from poison spray. We did have, let's see, so that's poison spray. We got a nat 1 on Kattigan. So a crow keeper comes to the door and sees him immediately. I feel like Kattigan is rolling really terrible during this campaign. And kudos to, and this got brought up, Rangers as a class are troubled in D&D, and good for Robbie for deciding to play one. It's interesting because he didn't enjoy playing a bard, playing so much support because he wanted to be in the fray. That's a good reminder of, like, the type of characters you enjoy playing, because if you get stuck with something for 3 years, a character class, that's a real bummer. And I've switched characters multiple times because I didn't really connect with them. And I try not to move outside my box too much anymore because I don't want to waste time. I get so few moments where I get to play D&D. Can you imagine if you were in Critical Role? How often do you get to play in Critical Role as a character, and you choose a character you don't like or a class that you don't like? I feel like the tension before, deciding on your characters before a campaign for Critical Role must be really intense for every player. I really can't imagine what that's like. Yeah, Robbie Daymond's got, like, Will Wheaton dice, 100%. I completely agree. So, Thimble, Kattigan actually lands an attack on that guard who shows up, tosses him off the wall. Color spray gets cast, blinds a guard. Thimble stabs Casimir, who is, Tyranny successfully cast Hold Person on Casimir. And then Thimble managed to stab out one of Casimir's eyes using sneak attack damage, 21 damage, and then 10 damage to the throat. Tyranny lost concentration because one of the guards came inside and attacked Tyranny, so Tyranny lost concentration on that Hold Person. Casimir rushes away. And then Tyranny drops a mystery egg. The mystery egg, I almost called this episode Squid Game, but I didn't want to reveal too much for people who had not seen this episode. We did also learn, so Thimble attacks and bloodies Casimir again and says, "Catch me if you can," and flies out the window and up into the air. We found out that she was able to do this without provoking an attack of opportunity, not because of using a specific rogue skill, but because she is in fact a rogue swashbuckler that's been updated to the 2024 core rules for D&D. There was a crit on Wicander, and Wicander was 2 points away from being dead. So Wicander had 29 hit points. If he had been hit for 29 hit points flat out, it would have been instant death for Wicander, and he would not be part of this game. Brennan rolled 27. And so it was a 2-point difference between us, not finding out much more about the Candescent Creed anymore. He did cast Shield. He got hit twice, and Shield didn't block either attack. It's pretty nasty stuff. We found out that though when you are doing, they have new homebrew rules, which are death saves, that have to do with death saves, that if you are dying from death saves and you have not failed yet on a death save, you can give someone heroic inspiration. If you have, you can give heroic inspiration while you have death saves, while you're in them. But if you have no death saves, you can actually decide to not give someone heroic inspiration and instead stabilize yourself. So, and clutch move, Sam actually decides to give a heroic inspiration to Teor Pridesire instead of giving himself stabilization. I really like this homebrew rule. There's a couple of things in D&D I really do not enjoy personally. One of those things is I hate paralysis. I hate stun. I don't like any type of effect, and I've, over the 30 years of running D&D games, I do not like taking a turn away from players. Cannot stand it. Just do not like it. I like them to have something they can do. Casting Hold Person on someone, or, there's a variety of creatures like ghouls that have paralytic effects, stun effects, or, effects that cause you to lose your turn in some way. I cannot stand them. I feel like it really jams up the narrative. I don't like it in combat. I hate it being done to me. I really hate doing it to players, and it makes me feel guilty as a dungeon master when it happens. That's my little hobby horse right there. So Wakander does give an inspiration to Teor. Casimir says, "When will I get to hear the falcons cry again?" It's interesting. I believe he said, "When will I hear the falcons cry again?" And that implies that there is a spirituality or an importance to whether you can or cannot hear the falcons cry. Or if something's really important about falcons and them crying, and especially at the moment of your death. I'm wondering how many of the falcons are in fact reincarnation members of that rebellion, or a specific person that was reincarnated because the Tachonis family was so scared that Thiazi Fang had seen and heard a falcon cry before his death. That seemed extremely important to that Tachonis family member who had the skull tattooed to their face. So something was off there. I agree. They need more healing kits and they need more healing potions because they don't have any way to heal. I think this Death Saves homebrew is there because they want this campaign to feel more lethal in terms of healing magic and resurrection. So they're giving the party more chances to, how do I put this? Have agency over their own deaths. And I like that quite a bit. And I think that's something we see in Daggerheart as well, is that you can make your death matter. And that's not always the case in D&D unless narratively you take care of it in that way. So, we do not know why the Falconers Rebellion was called that yet. We're going to find out. Thimble once again attacked Casimir and cuts his throat. Thimble had already sliced him on the left, sliced him on the right, and completed the slice. And she said, "Can you hear it now?" Which was amazing. It was a chilling moment. Tyranny threatens Wakander to live, threatening both suicide and also to pluck out his eyeballs and use them as martini olives. The soldiers of the castle decide to give up because this is a really important thing to do if you're playing D&D. If you feel like you have the advantage and you say, "Hey, we're not going to fight you. Will you just want to kill the crows?" Teor starts to be passive. Other characters within the group become passive, and the soldiers actually submit and give them the castle. We meet a really fun character called Big Tom Holly, who's like 6'4", heavier guy in armor. And then there's a lot of debate back and forth, and this is like things have wound down. They've managed to kill Casimir, which is a huge moment. And then we have this moment that happens sometimes. I usually don't have too much trouble with this, but I like to give the characters a home base or opportunity to expand their operations, and I think that's really fun. So you give them a bastion or a castle or an inn to run, and then they have stakes in a town. And this town is a know-nothing town that no one's probably going to visit, so this is a good base of operations or a place to know that it's in your court in the future. So there was a lot of back and forth of, Wakander suddenly became the Baron of this place. And for perspective, it's been about 8 hours since Casimir was the Baron of this town. Casimir dies, and then Wakander takes up the barony of this town, and then gives it away in 10 minutes or 20 minutes. It's absurd. So there are 2 barons. There are 3 barons in one day. The final Baron is the Baroness Cosgrove of Sloke. In an act of generosity, they made her seem like a proper soldier, had seen some time, not time, but time in a war, and they just got the impression she would make a better baroness and decide not to have them tied necessarily to their beliefs. But they did make a flag that was a fanged falcon banner that they flew at the top of the castle. And what else? They went to Dane Morgan, who has a public house that has no beer. There were a lot of really pissed off dwarves or sad dwarves. Everyone was a little stressed out that there was no alcohol when they went to the public house. We got the impression that the crows are heading north with Sid. Sir Hawken, the dog, Mastiff drowned, I believe, Gully the soldier in water in front of them, and then Castle Sloke is theirs. This is a wild episode, and we're weirdly dog heavy right now. So that's kind of the brief rundown, everybody, of what happened last night. I love the idea of a fanged falcon. I think that's really fun. What's wild is how much dogs matter in this world. I was not really prepared for that. And a lot of people were theorizing. I even thought on Danny Carr's rundown of last episode that the dogs were in fact druids, but these are awakened dogs, and I don't think any of them are in fact druids. I might be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure. So anyways, awakened dogs and mastiffs and stuff like that are incredibly important to the town of Timony. All this talk about falcons, all this talk about resurrection and druids, it feels like awakened animals are far more important to this world than we were fully given an indication to. At least Timony is rife with dogs, good boys. So it's strange. It was we got a little hint of that flavor with the dogs, in the previous episode, but now it seems like dogs are really important to Timony. I don't know if that we got really a sense of the history as to why that was. That might have been a lower drop. I can't recall right now. That was interesting. Dogs everywhere. There were dogs absolutely everywhere. Yeah, Wakander's family has a couple of dogs as well. They talked about this in the cool down. I really like. So, what did I think of the episode? Laura Bailey absolutely killing it as always. Comically having trouble getting over the table to take a look at the battle map and the minis. Great line, killing Casimir. Pretty funny that one of the eggs got thrown that caused the illusionary squid to show up, which kind of undercut, Thimble stabbing Casimir directly in the eye. I don't think it took away. I can't wait to see this animated, to have this brutalistic, dark fight against Casimir, and then this illusory squid appear during the throes of you trying to get your revenge is like the most D&D thing ever. Definitely not Game of Thrones, but strange in its other ways, and I thought that was really fun. I refuse to read that. The End King. I'm not saying what you said, unless it's a super chat. I can't believe you did that. There's a lot of Brennan also mentioned he's sitting on a lot of dog lore, so I'm curious where this is headed for the show. It's pretty wild. So yeah, what did you think? What are your theories? I don't know that we know, other than a lot of dog lore. It was interesting that they decided not to keep the castle. They could have easily done so, and that would have been a whole different direction. My only concern, actually, and weirdly in my brain, is that I feel like Sloke was meant for the players. This was hotly debated for almost an hour, really, whether or not people took over this castle or not. And it felt like it really was supposed to be something they took advantage of, because this town has no source of income, apparently. They have very little food. And all the soldiers, and it's a point that Brennan makes several times, is these soldiers were really hoping to have an entire career at this castle. Well, castles by their very nature do not generate income. So, hello. So, my concern is, like, I thought the player characters in Campaign 4 could be funneling money to their own cause at Castle Sloke, and then maybe had some economy moving in, like as they got treasure or gold or some different types of income, they could send that back to Castle Sloke and continue to pay those soldiers over time, rather than just giving them enough money for 2 months. Like Patreon. If you want to help support streams like this, go to Patreon or use a super chat or something like that. Like, that's what sustained. That's how you sustain. That's how you sustain Bastions and Castle Slokes. Is you hit the like and subscribe buttons and comments, and you sign up for Patreon and you do super chats. That's how you do it. Yeah, or you give people subs. But yeah, I worry about the city of Sloke for sure. Let's see. I'm looking at chat right now. Yeah, we may be at the soldiers' table for a minute. A little bit longer than I thought. Yeah, I feel bad for the suffering community, and I wish that the group was actually doing more to help them. Is that weird? It might have been a morality test from Brennan. That's completely possible. Yeah, I agree. But I didn't see a negative with them taking over that castle. I don't think it was. I think if it was obvious that this Castle Sloke would get run down if they were owned by Wikander, and maybe it was, because obviously Wikander's family, having taken over the barony, would be really weird to the Wikander's family. They'd be like, "How did this happen?" Yeah, so it was definitely a test of, okay, where are they going with this? Are they going to be moving around and acquiring castles, or are they going to build a rebellion of their own? And it doesn't seem like the soldiers' table is really building a rebellion so far, but that can change. I don't think this is the last time we'll see Castle Sloke. And if they did decide to take the barony of Castle Sloke, we might have had this Star Wars situation where you come back to Luke's uncle and aunt's house and it's burned down, and they're dead. Dungeon Masters, it's a dangerous thing to have a town or a location that you care about, because eventually that they will get threatened by the Dungeon Master. So that 100% happens all the time. So, but like, to everyone's point in chat, they are making allies, and that's a really good thing. What else to talk about? It's kind of wild. We're getting more of a picture, but we're not. Falcons mean a lot in this world. I'm really curious. The cold open was fun. Flipping between the seekers and the schemers, I think so. So yeah, we'll see what we'll see what we get. We didn't get massive lore drops in the cold open this time. We saw a really great interaction between Aabria and Matt Mercer's character, and how it's exhausting trying to keep track of Octus, because Octus doesn't really need sleep anymore. So the whole notion of Matt's character keeping tabs on him is a little impossible, really. I do worry. I worry about Wakander in general. I don't know what Sam's up to. I feel like Wakander is almost a blank slate and can be easily influenced by anyone around him. And he's so gullible or influenced at this point. It was pretty amazing. Brennan dressed Wakander down by cutting right to how useless he felt Wakander was and how no one had his back. And this is a nasty little bit of monologue about how Wakander just was worthless. And it really hit to the bone for Wakander. But I feel like Wakander asks everyone around him what he should do constantly. Almost like he's programmed. And this is, it'd be a weird thing to do after playing fresh cut grass, but as he plays Wakander is almost like, he's almost mechanical in how Wakander's brain works. Like, he's programmed. Can you prove to me Wakander's not an android? He cares so much about what people think of him, and he's so naive. Yeah, I don't know. Sam's up to something. Sam has put so much work into the Candescent Creed. I'm very curious how this plays out. Just checking chat. Casimir's not the main bad guy, but Casimir is certainly. I think this is about the time where you want one of your villains to die, one of the henchmen. So, like, episode 8, I can get it. Yeah. Interesting. He resembles a Pathfinder android. Interesting. Yeah, he does seem like he was born yesterday. In fact, even the way he talks is almost like Vision. I know, I am also describing, yeah, I know. It could go either way. Robot or rich kid. We don't know. Yeah, the fiance we don't have more insight into either. Yeah. Scary stuff. But, does this time still work for everybody for doing these recaps, or would you prefer them to be earlier in the morning? And yes, he is absolutely a Clockwork Soul Sorcerer. We did find that out last week. Being programmed does fit his demeanor for the subclass. For sure. Wow, my feed is so delayed. Something's going on with either YouTube or the internet in general. Chat's not delayed, though. One second, just checking something. Perfect. Take me back to chat. Come on. There we go. Things moving on. Yeah. Thoughts. Where does Thimble go now with her revenge? She's managed to kill Casimir, and I thought that was a great fight, really visceral. I love, we found out, I think this is new information, that Laura Bailey's playing a swashbuckler rogue. I wonder how she will handle now getting her revenge. Who else do we get revenge on? The next order of business is getting Teor's brother, Sid, out of imprisonment or whatever is going on with him, and maybe they'll be too late. Maybe there will be a cost for them stopping to kill Casimir, and that will be really dark and kind of messed up. So hopefully they can catch up and get Sid out of that situation. Yeah, Thimble will go along with saving Sid, but like after that, we need more and more. I think the next big bad, and this is a typical thing I do in D&D as well. So you introduce, hey, here's this guy I want to kill, Casimir. We show you Casimir for the first time, and Casimir's interaction is with your next villain, i.e., the woman with the tattooed skull on her face from the Tachonis family. So that's our next big bad in terms of the soldiers table, or someone else possibly. But we've introduced, as one villain gets introduced, another villain dies, and that's a very typical thing to do. Darth, you meet, Darth, you want to introduce new villains as time goes on, so that you can kill different characters and stuff like that. So it's, introducing villains with villains. It's a very common trope. Of course, all the villains hang out, so it makes sense. Yeah, after they get Sid, if they return to the city, that would be interesting. Though, I feel like Wikander's family is after him or trying to hunt him down at this point. And if they're such great sorcerers and have such power over magic, why haven't they been able to track him down? Other than the fact that maybe they don't give a crap? Could Wikander somehow be a spy? Like, I don't know. There's a lot. I'm spinning my wheels on Wikander and how strange he and his family situation is. Yeah, Circle of Death would be... Circle of Death is Circle of Death. Yeah. I wonder what information Sid has. So we're in the holding pattern. It'd be too much to watch Critical Role twice a week, I guess. I mean, too much for the cast, certainly. I do want to jump into the next episode already. That's the weird thing. For those of you in this chat, I don't know if you know this, we have a pre-show that we do right before the game, where we kind of run down everything that happened in the previous episode and speculate as to what's going to happen next as well. We tend to have a little bit more context as time goes on, and you see some different theories as to what is happening in the show. So be sure to check out the pre-show every Thursday, right 2 hours beforehand, before Critical Role, where everyone can kind of sit around and chat and get excited for the episode and have a nice kind of warm up rather than a cool down. I'm just reading chat. What if they're using Wick to get the rest of the resistance? I 100% think that's true. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't switched tables so far. I'm a little shocked, frankly. And I did it again. I know I did it again. Because I had to start the stream over. They got me. Well. Monetization got turned off again. YouTube. There must be a default setting. You guys are killing me. Upload defaults, advanced settings. Wow. That's really frustrating. That's wild. Oh, well. Well, that's a stream without ads. Yeah, the stream got shut down, and then I started up again, and that caused us to lose monetization. Wild. Let's see, what else? Man, I gotta find a solution to that, why that keeps happening. Yeah, I'm excited to get back to the schemers table. And find out what's exactly going on with... well, I love Murray and Bolaire as a buddy cop movie. I love seeing them together. Yeah, YouTube live streaming does take the patience of a saint. So, yeah, I mean, like, there was no... I mean, it is what it is. It happens, but, like, YouTube streaming could use some... I wonder if Streamlabs somehow is interfering with it. That's the software I use to stream onto YouTube. It could be possible, but like my default is monetized videos. I don't have to switch it on. So, yep, I know. Happened again. That's how it goes, though. We had a really great pre-show last night, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. Everybody remind me in chat next time. Don't forget to turn ads on. It's pretty wild. Yeah, there is a setting within YouTube, but for some reason it treats streams differently. It doesn't ask you when you go live or prompt you in any way. And since we restarted the stream because something went wrong, I did have it set up, and then it defaulted back to not having ads. So it's Twitch would never do that ever, ever, because they would lose so much income as a company. So it's bizarre that YouTube has this kind of broken thing. Just a little bump. Thank you so much. Thank you for the $20 super chat, Ty Bright. Just a little bump to make up for the lack of monetization. That more than helps. That's massive. I really appreciate you. It feels like I'm lying or a scam. Like, no, I forgot to monetize again today. No, I'm not. It's this constant problem that we're running into. And by we, I mean me. Something to fix. I'm gonna make myself like a little checklist, like a flight navigator, before I earnestly start the streams moving forward. Because holy cow, that's like the third time that's happened to me. It might be that you are using for streaming. Yeah, see what you said happened to me above. Yeah, it's weird. We'll get it figured out. We're relatively new. We are talking about having people on the pre-show and even maybe the post-show as guests. So hopefully we get to expand these conversations longer and longer about Critical Role. What else are you interested in? Is there anything else you want to talk about the episode? What was everyone's top 10 highlights that meant the most to you? I love a good revenge story. I love Laura Bailey playing Thimble. I thought Thimble was going to be an assassin, but I love Laura Bailey as Thimble, dealing out gory, horrific damage. The juxtaposition between this fae folk doing damage is really great. I feel like there's a ton going on with Wick's family and the schemers. Yeah, 100%. I think it'll be fun having the schemers continue to find out things about Wikander's family in the absence of Wikander's presence and also tyranny. I think that will be really fun, and that's a good case for dramatic irony. And even, what if one of the characters in the soldiers' table is a spy or the seekers, and someone in the schemers finds out within the city and has no way to tell them? And so you watch episode after episode after episode of the soldiers' table or the seekers' table, knowing the spy is amongst them, that they have a betrayer. That's going to be really fun and juicy because the other tables won't know. Robbie throwing the crow over the wall for an insta-kill is always fun. I love, by the way, in D&D, push effects and pull effects, just chef's kiss, always. That's not what he did here. He just pushed someone. But, like, if you're a warlock and you're using Eldritch Blast to push someone or pull them off a wall, It's the best. I can't tell you this. How satisfying it is to kill enemies with falling damage. Oh, you feel like you're winning. Eating the potato was horrific. I've never had a raw potato. I've never been into a raw potato. I think you would lose your teeth. So I have questions about biting into a raw potato in the cold open. Can you hear the falcons cry now is perfection. That's there are two things I specifically I want them to make, and I already emailed them about one thing, is I'm obsessed with red caps. In my 3-year campaign that was live streamed, I had a red cap god basically. And I'm going to put my hat in you has to be written on a red cap. I think I'm going to make my own on Etsy. And so I think we need that. And then we need merch that says, "Can you hear the falcons now?" That was a great line. I love the hounds. Yeah, the hounds were interesting. There's a whole different world going on there. It almost reminds me of the Daymons from I mean, it's not quite the same, but the presence of animals in this reminds me of the animals and the Daymons in Golden Compass. The dice rolls were wild in this episode. Boy, going from 20s to 1s, back and forth. Not a lot in the middle, really. Yeah, I love potatoes, but I'm not going to eat a raw potato. Yeah, Wolfric attacking the horses was really smart. That was good use of being a Beastmaster Ranger, for sure. I wonder what's causing these chime noises. You're not hearing them, but I hear them. Yeah, boy, you know, I think Travis Willingham is such a great hype player because him and Laura, you see how hyped Travis gets about any other player. Like, what a good responder to what is happening in the game. And same with Laura. Absolutely hilarious. I love how they gas each other up and keep the energy up around the table. It's a good point. You know, no one's sitting there looking at their phones or tablets. They're engaged. They're excited for each other. It really works. Whitney's not a new player. I mean, a new player to Critical Role certainly, but Whitney is actually has dungeon mastered a couple of games, and I mean, I think several games. I do have an interview with Whitney, and she's been playing D&D for quite a long time. Brennan as a dungeon master, you know, you can always make the case for getting advantage. So yeah, it may happen. Might be happening relatively often. I tend not to ask for advantage almost ever. I'll have to rewatch. Travis is the ultimate hype man. Kattigan looking for the deed. Yeah, that was fun. I think I like Whitney playing a different tone than the other players. Whitney's playing a demon who is not from this plane of existence and is almost completely brand new. And kind of naive herself. I think that keeps things fresh. Just like Murray is completely different than most of the players. I mean, Armand feels like this dark, almost grisly type of setting, and then you got Murray, who's just got this southern accent, this dwarf, female dwarf with a beard. I think is really fun. So I think it's more eclectic than because we don't have everyone at the same table all at once right now. Oh, she might not be, but I know that she's been in a variety of D&D games over the years. Certainly not playing D&D every Thursday for 5 hours for 8 years now. or 10 years? It's been 10 years. So that's a lot of D&D experience around that table. I recall we were talking about, Robbie's character, and he said he was one of the players that wrote the most about his character's backstory, and we haven't even gotten close to what's going on with Robbie's character, Kattigan. Other than the fact that he grabbed a doll and threw it in the mud. We don't know anything about him, which is wild. Tyranny may very well have feelings for Wick, and intense feelings, especially after two of those comments. There's this, I don't know if anyone remembers this show. It's a spinoff of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's called Angel, and they had a Muppet episode, or a puppet episode, and, spoiler alert, Angel got turned into a puppet, this vampire, and everything he did was extreme and emotional, and over the top, because he had the emotional spectrum of a puppet his size. And I think that's a very interesting way to look at demons, that they're so fresh and so new that they have wild swings. Yeah, Robbie is definitely playing a very calculated character. I don't know that Ranger is the perfect choice for him. Ranger's a little underpowered. If you're looking at pure damage, rogues are pretty underpowered now in 2024. But, rogues have a lot of utility as well. But, you can out-damage a rogue with a bard easily. Rangers can out-damage a bard. Rangers can out-damage a rogue easily. And I love rogues. I do. I love the concept of rogues. I like rogues in Daggerheart quite a bit. Syndicate, and I forget the name of the other one. And now we've got assassins, which are not rogues, but their own thing. Any other wild theories? There is a lot of backstory with Wulfric, not specifically Kattigan. At one point we thought maybe the two were the same or different, or it was his beast form, before the show had actually gotten started. Getting sneak attack every round is pretty clutch. One of the strongest rogues by far, actually probably the strongest rogue by far, is the swashbuckler rogue, because they can dance in and out of battle quite frequently. That's a lot of sneak attack damage for a level 3 rogue. Let's see, 1d6. I think the level 3 rogue would have 3d6 of sneak attack damage, 4d6 plus a bonus of 5. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That's on the top tier of sneak attack damage. Yeah. Did we mention the fact that King Gus backed the rebellion secretly? No, I didn't. Sometimes I miss a little bit of this stuff. I'm trying to write everything down while the show is happening, so I kind of rely a little bit on everyone here in chat to also help me remember what happened, because things get lost. 2d6 sneak attack damage at level 3? Or is it 3d6? I can't remember. Yeah, it's around there. Well, it was definitely the top spectrum of the damage that you can do as a rogue at that level. Certainly atypical. I wonder what repercussions and consequences for the soldiers table being, towards the other tables, if any. So we know the King of Timony is heading south. Oh, 2d6. Well, okay, so 2d6 plus the 3d6. That's 18 at the top. Plus 5, 8, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Where's the extra damage coming from? Huh. How did we get to 27? No, 27 damage was on Wikander. It was 21 damage for Casimir's eye. I can actually kind of give you the odds. Let's see. It's called Any Dice. You kind of get a... If you go... There's a website called Any Dice. If you Google it... Let's see. So, let's say the Scimitar is like 1d6. Then you got sneak attack damage for 2d6. Plus you got a plus 5 modifier or something like that? For Laura Bailey's... 20, yeah. So the Spectrum on 3d6 plus 5... I like this. I like figuring stuff out like this. And I'll make sure I start sharing these stats while we're doing this. Just so you get kind of the numbers game of everything. Is at the very low end, the lowest damage you could do with a hit with 3d6 plus 5. Oh, it was a crit, right? Oh, was it a crit? It was a crit, right? Correct? Am I wrong? Well, anyways, even without a crit, 3d6 plus 5, at the low end, the very lowest you could do is 8 points of damage. The very highest you could do is 23. With a 0.46% chance, 1.39 for 22, and 2.78% chance of hitting a 21. But still very high. Yeah. It's a magical sword, but again, the boost is only for incorporeal characters. Yeah, plus 6 for dexterity. Yep. So that was at the very top tier of what sneak attack can do for Thimble. I don't... So... I think... I don't remember because I haven't played it yet, but yeah, like if you have... two light weapons, I don't... yeah, she may have the feat. They may have gifted them feats early on in the game. That could be possible. You don't auto-crit on being stunned. You do get automatic advantage, though. Now, if you were an assassin, you would automatically crit, but... assassin damage was significantly nerfed. Yeah. Either way, on the extreme. Yeah, I don't think it's an auto-crit. You just get advantage. I've seen tables do an auto crit if you're paralyzed or stunned. Let's see. Oh, anything that is unconscious or paralyzed automatically crits, but the attacker still has to roll to hit. Yep. I thought I was doing that as a house rule. I've been running D&D for a long time, and I've just been doing it that way. So, it's really weird. Your brain turns into porridge over time, so... because it makes sense. I mean, this person's paralyzed. Think about, honestly, X-Men First Class when he says, I'm going to move the coin, and he moves it through that Nazi's brain. It's a pretty clutch move. Checking something real quick. One second. All right, catching up to chat. Yeah, no, I mean, getting an automatic crit completely makes sense. Of course, they're paralyzed. I mean, you should get an auto crit on a situation like that. It's rough, especially if you're. How are you not killing someone outright? Really, if they're paralyzed, you really gotta mess up. I know, yeah, that character was done dirty. That the actor who played Darwin in X-Men First Class, however, went on to play Mr. Fantastic in the new Superman movie. So some wrongs have been righted, at least I hope in that regard. But I remember when Darwin died in X-Men First Class, and I was pretty annoyed. It was like an atomic level amount of energy, which is, I think, hard to adapt to. Like, being able to breathe underwater or absorb bullets or fire damage or being bludgeoned is a little different than absorbing necessarily the power of an atomic bomb or the power of a grenade. I can see that being a little bit different, but it still was weird to also a character who I genuinely liked a lot, to kill them off so early. Yes. What did I say? I thought I said Mr. Terrific. What did you say, Mr. Fantastic or something? Don't use the story for mechanics was pretty funny, yeah. Don't use poetry against me was funny. Yeah, offhand attacks don't get dexterity for your damage unless you do have that feat. I said Mr. Fantastic. Yep. Hey man, I was up late watching Critical Role, so I'm a little sleepy. Yeah, Sam saying now you I will kill was hilarious. I like that Cat in chat right now is my own hype person right now about gifts and subs, free subs and super chats. Yeah, we started off the stream for the first hour without any ads turned on, so but that's how it goes sometimes. I think it's, yeah, we could move away from the soldiers table. I think we can move to another table now, and because they're currently in pursuit of Sid. I think Casimir is a good button for an episode, and then moving on to another table. So we might not be with the soldiers next week. Oh, they said we're staying with the soldiers in the cooldown? It's an interesting thing to say in the cooldown. Huh. I wonder how far in advance they're shooting these. We've only had 3 days of time pass. That's wild. Look at everything that's happened. Oh, yeah, they said that we'll continue the story next week. Yeah, it could be. I think it could go either way. What else would you like to talk about? We talked about Mighty Nine quite a bit. Caleb had a fantastic episode. If you have not seen it, I held on to an interview quietly before the Mighty Nine episode 5 dropped with Liam O'Brien and Sam Riegel and the entire cast of Critical Role about the differences between having a very dark thing happen in a live game and seeing it animated for the first time, and how upsetting that scene was to see fully realized in animated form. So be sure to check out that interview. It's really good. I'm really proud of that interview. We also have a really great interview with Elise from Darrington Press about the future of Daggerheart. It sounds like they got a lot of stuff going on that they haven't been able to tell us yet. But it sounds like 2006 is going to be a very good year, another good year for Daggerheart. Yeah, I could see a cold open on the soldiers' table and then shifting to the schemers, for sure. That's a good point, Kelly. I missed the Mighty Nine portion of the stream. What did they change from the campaign? Yeah, they've changed quite a few things in Mighty Nine, just like they've changed things in Vox Machina. They've truncated the timeline a little bit. There's other stuff. I don't want to spoil anything for people. I think you find out a lot more about Caleb pretty early. Yeah, the Seekers are theoretically further in the future. That might be true. We have other weird news unrelated to Critical Role, but Netflix just bought Warner Brothers, which is wild. Yeah, his backstory is a little different, but you get the gist of it, and it's dark. Oh, you have to wait till Christmas to see it because I don't have Prime right now? Okay. The Seekers have been moving actively without much gameplay. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a fun way to have timelines not necessarily have to match up. I mean, I'd rather Netflix own Warner Brothers than Paramount. People mentioned it being actually. I think it was going to be largely debate. Not Netflix owning Warner Brothers wasn't going to be debated in court. It was actually other companies buying them because they'd already acquired Paramount and a bunch of others. That was going to be potentially a monopoly. But Netflix owning them is not considered a monopoly. Yeah, there's nothing but live streams this week today. In the entertainment industry, kind of breaking down Netflix buying Warner Brothers. For Amazon Prime, it's wild that they have Critical Role and also Lord of the Rings TV shows. I can't believe we're getting a season 3 of Rings of Power. That's a wild TV show. I love the setting. I love the music. I love set designs, all this stuff. I feel like the characters are not always completely believable. Well, I think we may have talked about everything that we can talk about. Let's see. Just looking through chats. Oh, wasn't it part of the deal that they had to make 5? Oh my god, that's wild for how expensive that show is. Having to do 5 seasons is completely nuts. Yeah, except for Baron Halavar. Baron Halavar lasted 20 minutes. That was pretty wild, that context that Brennan gave it. That they just sent a guy down to the pub house to tell them that they have a new Baron, and then already the news is stale. I mean, 3 Barons in one day is pretty nuts. I mean, really 4? Because who was the Baron before Casimir got there? So you got the Baron who was there before Casimir arrived. Then Casimir gets there as the new Baron. Then Wikander's the new Baron. And then they give the Baronship to the other soldier. That's 4 in a day. Oh yeah, any idea what the rules are that they might have grabbed the soldiers have kept the castle? Yeah, there's a bastion system actually where you can have a fortress, you can have a castle, you can have an inn. You can add to a structure, and that structure gets larger or more powerful as you level up in D&D in 2024. So there's a bastion system for if you do kind of want to have your own base of operations or a thieves' den, armories, taverns, making potions, libraries, all that stuff is included in the 2024 core rules. It's not in the player's handbook, it's in the DMG. But yeah, they could have easily, it could have easily been a new kind of leading into a bastion system for everybody. Yeah, it's fun. They're not. It's a nice set of rules for feeling like you own a location, and then there are random bastion events in D&D now. So someone may attack the bastion, or something may go wrong, or something may go right. You can gain all kinds of benefits from your bastions, like magical items and spells and potions and all kinds of stuff. You can do research and generate income with your bastion. 3 Baron Day is a really auspicious holiday, yeah. So I had a couple of different names I wanted to call the stream, and I didn't do it because I didn't want to spoil it. I was going to call it either Eye of the Beholder or Squid Game. But I figured it was a little too on the nose. Yeah, House Theater would be a bastion. I wonder if there is a theater bastion. I don't think there is, but I could be wrong. I don't have them memorized, but I can easily see them converting it into a bastion. Thank you. Thank you for laughing at that. Anything else I missed in chat? Well, don't forget to like and subscribe. Super chats, gifts, all that, subs, that all helps. Gifting subs to other people or gifting memberships all helps keep the channel going. Yeah, I know. If the squid had not been an illusion, Tyranny would have a brand new religion 100%. Does Bastions play usually get played at the table, though? I've not seen it, but the 2024 core rules are pretty new. So I haven't had an opportunity to actually get to play with them. What do you think about Forgotten Realms with Netflix? I don't know. There's nothing I can say about Forgotten Realms with Netflix. I'm excited for more D&D worlds shown. I thought D&D Honor Among Thieves was absolutely amazing. I would love to see more worlds of D&D represented in TVs and films and all of that. I think it's some great fantasy settings in the world of D&D. I think it's too early to see Daggerheart, unless Daggerheart becomes closely associated with Critical Role, and then all of a sudden, think about it. Critical Role already has multiple animated shows on Amazon Prime, and yeah. Todd's got NDAs? Yeah. Yeah, I've been it's been 5 months. It's a little scary right now. Unemployment's going to run out here in a month or two. But hopefully I get by doing freelance and stuff like that, or hopefully a new job pops up. But yeah, I've been, as of June. That's insane. I left Wizards of the Coast in June, and it's been 6 months already. It's wild. That's so scary. I hate layoffs. And now I'm actually really worried about people, honestly, at Warner Brothers, because Netflix has acquired them, and mergers are always bad for folks. Yes, Exandria campaign frames seem inevitable, absolutely. All right, well, I'm going to pack it up. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. Don't forget to go to the pre-show next Thursday. It's a pretty huge crowd. We hit around 300 to 400 people in that. Super fun. So, and I may start streaming things like Dispatch and also Demio's Battlemarked is wild. It's really fun game, and I'll be streaming that with some friends pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that, hopefully next week. But all right, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.